All right, it is night 4 of President Donald Trump's federal show of force across the nation's capital, and this is Fox 5 special coverage. We are live streaming on Fox 5's YouTube page right now. Thank you so much for joining us. And a lot going on already tonight. We have seen that show of force outside of Union Station. Let's take you there live right now. Let's fix that audio for you. This is our live pictures coming in right now from outside Union Station. That's where our photographer, Jesse, is standing by. You see the Humvees outside of it. We also saw federal agents at Washington Circle, and that's where those homeless encampments are about to be taken down. We've been talking about this on air all day today, and it looks like the work is just getting started. Our crews are out there right now. Sydney Persing is there. We'll have that live picture for you coming up in just a minute. But first, let's recap how we got to where we are. This is night 4, like I said, earlier this week, President Donald Trump taking 2 executive actions, including invoking Section 740 of the DC Home Rule Act, which basically commandeered the DC Police Department, put it under federal control. He also deployed the National Guard here to the nation's capital. He says he wants to make the city safe again. He says he wants to make the city beautiful again. And this is that 2-pronged approach that we are seeing play out live right now. Like I said, right now, agents outside of Union Station and over at Washington Circle, that's where that homeless encampment looks like it is about to be taken down. We've had some major developments today. Already, we learned the mayor has left town. She is actually in Martha's Vineyard overnight, but she says she will be back tomorrow. She says it was for a family commitment. She is in touch with her staff, and she is staying on top of everything that is going on. We also learned that the DC Police Department made a major change to how it works with immigration enforcement. DC Police Chief Pam Smith is now allowing officers to notify ICE about people not in custody, for example, during traffic stops. The MPD is also now allowed to help ICE in transporting detained subjects. The DC Police Union says they support the president's federal intervention. We have talked about that, but still blame the DC Council for legislation that they say has, quote, crippled the MPD. If you're just joining us, you are taking a live look at Union Station, where the National Guard is currently stationed. The National Guard not making any arrests, remember. The White House says the goal is for them to act as a deterrent to violent crime with a visible presence. And we have seen that visible presence across the city so far this week. Earlier this week, we saw checkpoints set up in Columbia Heights. We saw them along 14th Street. We've seen federal agents patrolling M Street. And right now, like I said, you are taking a live look at Union Station, where that fleet of armored vehicles is currently lined up. We also have a crew over at Washington Circle, where the homeless encampment is supposed to come down a little later. Now, I talked about some of the other major new developments that we talked about. We mentioned the National Guard presence across the city, especially in high-profile spots. We have seen ongoing work at the DC homeless encampments. Like I mentioned, we have a crew there now, but we also saw action earlier this afternoon over near the Kennedy Center, and I want to show you pictures of that earlier today, too. That's the video you're looking at right now. That was the work that was done earlier today. In addition to the homeless encampments, that federal show of force, FBI Director Kash Patel said that 45 arrests were made last night as a result of that federal show of force. 16, he says, were part of the crackdown on violent crime. 29 of those arrests were immigration related. Right now, or as of last night, 1,600 law enforcement personnel were involved in those operations. In the meantime, I'm going to take you back out to Union Station, live shot up right now. That's what you're looking at. You see cars making their way in and out, but that fleet of armored vehicles still there. In addition to some of those arrests, we also learned about the Subway sandwich thrower. You may have seen that video all over social media. I'll take you to it now as well. We learned today that the suspect, the man accused of throwing a Subway sub at a federal agent, worked for the DOJ. And I say worked because he apparently has been fired since then. In addition to all of the federal agents and the show of force all across the city, we have also seen protests breaking out across the city, especially in some of the communities where we've seen the show of force. Earlier tonight, as a matter of fact, there was a rally at Franklin Park. Our photographer Ben Rice was there, talked to some of the protesters about how they feel about this show of force. All right, it looks like our crew is back up out at Washington Circle. I'm going to take you there live now as well.
They say, hey,
listen in a little bit
they keep their places
as Sydney
clean.
talks
They don't bother
to some of the people impacted by this effort to crack down on these homeless encampments.
But they don't harm anybody, so it just hurts my heart to see us do this to people that, some of these people have been here for a while. I'm ashamed that I only know Mrs. 10 people. I told the girl over there. But when I come by, we say, hey, they don't cause ruckus. There's no crime, So I just don't understand where we are as humans, that we treat other humans like this. And I don't trust the government that they will be taken care of whenever they leave here. I don't. We were all okay. We don't need anybody coming into our little circle here and uprooting, moving people out when there's nothing wrong, So, it's emotional for me, as a nurse. My job is to care for people. That's why I'm a nurse. And it hurts me to see this. It hurts me to see them being treated like criminals and police taking them away.
I appreciate you talking to us, ma'am. I think it's important for people to hear your perspective.
Thank you.
What is your name, ma'am?
Lisa Frascogna.
F-R-I-S-C-O?
Frascogna. It's a tag.
Oh, and how do you say it?
Frascogna.
Frascogna. Yes. Oh, I thought you said Frisco. And Lisa, L-I-S-A? Thank you, ma'am.
All right, just a reminder, you are watching live down at Washington Circle in the bottom right corner, where federal agents plan to begin dismantling one of the homeless encampments. This is just about a mile away from the White House. The top left corner of your screen, that is the National Guard show of force outside of Union Station. Just a reminder, if you're just joining us live here on YouTube, this is a little raw. This is behind the scenes. This is raw live pictures. So we'll be listening in when we can, but just a heads up, we have no control over what people say or how people feel. So White House officials have said if people don't comply and leave when they come to these homeless encampments, go to shelters, mental health facilities, or elsewhere, they could face fines or even jail time. There are apparently approximately 62 homeless encampments here in the district, both on district property and federal property. And we have seen throughout the course of the day these efforts to clean some of them up. However, not all of these efforts have been federal efforts. Earlier today, DC officials were out helping out. We got a chance to catch up with the DC Health and Human Services Deputy Mayor, Wayne Turnage. Take a listen.
Happening is as part of the duties of the Deputy Mayor's office, we manage encampments, and we manage them through either cleanups or closures. This is a closure for a number of reasons, and from what I can tell, it went very well.
Okay, so the district is the one removing the folks here.
Yes, we were informed by the National Park Service that they would begin closing all encampments in the city, both on federal and district land. We believe we have a tried and true process to do this the way it should be done. We engage social services. We try to connect to homeless services. We use our outreach workers extensively before we close, in the weeks, months before we close, to try to get people into services. So we felt we knew this site would be one of the key sites that the federal government would close. So it was in our judgment that it was better for us to do it using the protocols that we rely upon in the deputy mayor's office.
Why was that such an important thing for you? Is it the fear that having federal folks clearing out this homeless encampment instead of the city would, cause some sort of issue?
Well, closing encampments is a very, very complex process. We're dealing with human beings who, in many cases, have been marginalized. Their lives are being disrupted. And so we have put a process in place that we think respects that we think makes sure that if there's any opportunity to get people to homeless services, that we can do it through the closure process, working with our team of very experienced outreach workers, DHS workers, and the staff in my office. It is not that the federal government would not do that, but they don't have the social services component on the ground that we do. Park Police is very good at closing sites. We've worked with them in the past, but the social services component, the human services component always falls to the district, and we embrace it. And so we felt if this site was going to be closed, because it was a sizable site, that we should do it ourselves.
And when was your office notified, or were you guys notified that this was going to be one of the locations for them to target?
Well, we were told on Friday, we learned that the president would probably make an announcement that he wanted encampment cleared. The announcement came when Monday, and then the National Park Services reached out to the city administrator and explained that they would start closing encampments on Monday night. We knew from this location and this size, it's given its visibility, that this site would probably be high on the priority for closure. So we decided we should do it ourselves.
And how soon once you found that out, did the outreach start Tuesday? When did that start?
Outreach is year-round. Rachel can talk about the outreach strategies that we use, but our outreach workers know these residents by name. They always try to connect them to services, always try to help them address some of the needs they might have. So it's not a case where an announcement was made on Monday and we rushed outreach workers out here we've been working with this site for a long time.
Was it since Tuesday, though? At what point did you let the people here know that today was going to be the day they had to leave?
We let them know yesterday. Normally we have typically we have a 7-day notice requirement, but we also have in our protocol, if you've seen it, we have the provisions for what we call an immediate disposition. If that involves a closure, that can come within 24 hours.
So that's why it was yesterday versus Tuesday, when the night after you found out?
Right. Once we found out that the National Park Service planned to start closing encampments, they said on Monday, we just said we would go out and let the folks know that we're going to close it instead, and we give them notifications and try to connect them to homeless services.
Is the federal government working with you closely, aka they'll let you know if they have something planned, and is the idea for you guys to take care of it first before they get on property?
We are working with the federal government closely. They are not expecting us to, after they indicate that they're going to close the site, to jump in front of them and close the site ourselves. We work with them. We had a big meeting at the U.S. Park Service headquarters last night. There's another one today at 5 p.m. And from that meeting, we will learn more about which sites they're going to close starting at 6 p.m. tonight.
Is that something you guys will release at some point?
Well, we don't control the list. The list, if we got it, we certainly will be happy to share it, but we don't have a list right now. All we have is a notice that some encampment closures could initiate this evening after 6 o'clock.
Tonight, even?
Tonight, yes.
How many more do you think?
Well, they have a very aggressive timeline. They want to be finished with the encampment part of this process in a week or so. I don't know if that's possible, but that's what their goal is.
And how concerned are you about this aggressive plan? Where are these people going when the idea is to move them out of the city?
I'm not concerned about the aggressive plan, but I don't think depending upon the scope of their efforts, if they only focus on federal sites, they probably could be closed and they could finish in a week. If they focus on district sites, When you combine district sites and federal sites, there's 62 of them involving almost 100 people. You're not going to do that in a week. And then if you get people who are living in the shadows during the day and sleeping not in tents, but on storefronts, on steam grates, in alleys, that number is considerably higher, and they come with some severe mental health challenges. That's a population that you're not going to be able to quickly manage into a treatment or whatever the goal would be. That's a population that is very challenging to deal with, and to do it respectfully and humanely, it will take some time.
So that was DC Health and Human Services Deputy Mayor Wayne Turnage talking about their efforts to clear some of these homeless encampments. That one today, the video you're looking at right now, was over by the Kennedy Center off of I-66. In the top left corner of your screen, that is a live picture, a live look at Union Station. That is where the National Guard is posted up. You see the armored vehicles. This is part of the president's show of force and part of his effort to make the nation's capital safe again. In addition, there are federal agents out all across the city. This is video we shot last night. Homa Bash reported earlier this afternoon, though, that the feds started targeted enforcement today. So instead of patrolling general areas, they're actually focusing on so-called high crime areas, going after known gang members and drug dealers. Like I mentioned earlier, but in case you're just joining us, we also know the FBI and federal agents made 45 arrests last night, 16 of them tied to a violent crime surge. President Donald Trump also talked about this push to crack down on crime here in the nation's capital during a White House meeting earlier today. Take a listen.
LA, Mr. President, earlier today, the Washington, D.C. police chief issued an executive order allowing metropolitan police officers conducting traffic stops to notify federal immigration and customs enforcement about undocumented immigrants that they encounter. Yet the city has a long-standing pro-immigration policy, including allowing non-citizens to vote in local elections,
which is ridiculous,
and limiting cooperation with federal immigration agencies.
Right.
Did your administration pressure the D.C. police chief to review and repeal these policies, and will you require other cities to roll back similar policies to avoid possible federal takeover of local law enforcement?
So what you're saying is that it was a very positive thing. When they stop people, they find they're illegal, they report them, they give them to us, etc. That's a very positive thing. I have heard that. It just happened. That's a great step. That's a great step if they're doing that. Yeah, I think that's going to happen all over the country. We want to stop crime. I think if the Democrats aren't strong on this issue, they won't be able to do it. I think this is a bigger issue than all of the other ridiculous things that they, like open borders. Well, open borders is bad. Open borders has caused a lot of this problem, allowing millions and millions. I think 24 million people were allowed to come into our country. Many of these people from prisons, from jails, from mental institutions. This was the Biden policy. And I don't believe it was him. He was never there before. It was the people that encircled this very beautiful desk, the Resolute desk. Radical left lunatics who were smart, but radical left. And I'm very happy to hear what you just said, because I've heard that.
And Mr. President, on LA, if I
So that was President Donald Trump speaking at the White House earlier today, talking about that federal show of force underway. This is video from last night in the bottom right. That is a live picture from Union Station. At the top left of the screen, we mentioned Mayor Muriel Bowser earlier. She is not currently in DC. She left town. She is in Martha's Vineyard. After we reported it, she did release a statement on Twitter. You can see it on your screen right now. Friends, as you know, I'm both a mom and mayor, raising a delightful 7-year-old on my own. This week, I canceled a scheduled family trip to lead our city's crisis management efforts. I also made the more difficult decision to not disrupt my daughter's camp plans. I need to get to her on Wednesday after work and bring her home, which I will do tomorrow. I am in constant contact with my senior team and have been in constant consultation with our partners throughout a short swing out of the district. The mayor also released a video on her social media today celebrating the district. Take a look.
We have a beautiful city We have 700,000 proud Americans who call DC home. While we're not without our challenges, we take care of our own business and we take care of our own people. One thing that has everybody pretty mad, especially me, is the characterization of our city and our residents. We don't live in a dirty city. We don't have neighborhoods that should be bulldozed. We have to be clear about our story, who we are, and what we want for our city.
So that was the mayor's post earlier today after the reports came out that she had left town, pushing back on the claims that Washington, D.C. is a dirty city, an unsafe city, and basically everything the president has said about the reasons behind this federal show of force and this federal takeover of the city's police department and taking care of these homeless camps. Earlier today, we also got a chance in a Fox 5 exclusive to talk to U.S. Marshals Director Gady Serralta. Jim Loke and Marina Morocco talked to him all about the coordination that goes into this sort of ambitious plan and coordinating all of these federal jurisdictions. Excuse me. Take a listen.
Sir, thank you for joining us. I know you come from a police background. How do you use that and extrapolate that across what is a massive operation bringing all these different departments and organizations together?
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And well, with 35 years experience in law enforcement, I've worked gangs, narcotics, organized crime, a number of different entities. So it's pretty simple. I've led the Marshal Service in the Southern District of Florida, and now I'm the director of the Marshal Service. So it's quite simple when you have 16 agencies that have come together at the request of the President of the United States to make DC safe and beautiful again. So I have willing participants. We use intelligence from the Metropolitan Police Department, and we deploy our units as strategic as we can.
Let's talk about that, and I do want to warn our viewers, if you're hearing a little bit of a lag, it's because we do have a delay here as we conduct this interview with the director from the White House. Let's talk about operations. You were at that meeting with the Attorney General as well as with the mayor 2 days ago. So was Pamela Smith. There was a bit of a question as to who exactly is in charge at this point. It seems as though from the president's point of view, it's you as well as some other people at his helm. What about operations? We've seen a lot of presence in high traffic areas in Georgetown, on U Street. What about Ward 7, Ward 8, where the crime is higher, where the residents want to see a resolution here and want to see that crime driven down?
Well, yeah. Well, so the deployment is going to be citywide. There's going to be no part of the city that doesn't have law enforcement at patrolling in those areas, and high visibility patrols. And that's done because if we only deploy to the locations where the high crime incidents occur, then the bad guys just move their operations to the areas where there are not patrols. So the entire city is being covered by law enforcement, and that's how we're going to keep it.
I know the president has said he believes that people are happy to see this response. And to be fair, there are people who, when you see a police officer on your street, you at least have some reassurance that somebody's keeping an eye on what's happening where otherwise it may not have been. But we saw last night checkpoints set up on places like 14th and U and 14th and V. There have been people said they have been stopped by officers on the street asking for various papers or identification. Do you run the risk, sir, of scaring people who live in these neighborhoods who otherwise may be unhappy with the presence here?
I do not think so. I can tell you that the folks that we're working with are professional law enforcement officers. They know how to do their job. If they stop someone for the taillight and ask them for paperwork, that's normal. That's
For citizenship
course of
papers?
Law enforcement.
For a tail light?
In those instances. So I can tell you from personal experience, I had a... No. I'm not familiar with the case that you're talking about then. Okay. I'm just saying that traffic is a component of our saturation. So traffic is one, narcotics, we target guns. So there's a number of things that we are targeting.
Okay.
So traffic is one of them. I thought you were talking about just traffic cases.
Director, well, since you bring up that point and we're having this conversation, we saw that order come down from Chief Pamela Smith about the work with federal law enforcement for ICE compliance. What do you know about that right now? How much of a priority is that? Because this initially started to crack down on crime, and now we're talking about immigration status, which completely turns things on its head there. How much of that is what you're encouraging your boots on the ground to do, as opposed to actually cracking down on violent criminals?
Well, the answer to that is I am happy that Chief Smith decided to issue that memo. I think it's good leadership. That's the law here in the United States, and we need to follow the law, and we need to follow all the laws, right? So any individuals that are going to commit crimes in the city are going to get arrested, and that's the message that we're sending out. This cashless bail thing that happens here in D.C., I mean, that's a huge part of the problem here. You know, no sooner than the officer puts them in, that, you know, that same officer or another one on the same beat or the beat after is rearresting this individual. I mean, that's got to stop, and it's got to stop now.
Director Serralta, we appreciate you coming on here on the Fox 5 News at 5. I know that you have just been sworn in about 14 days ago into this office. Our wish, I think, for many people is that you familiarize yourself with Washington, D.C. as you get acquainted with the Metropolitan Police Department, who have been hamstrung with less officers on the street. And we'll see where this goes 30 days, as the president has now asked for the prolongation for a longer period of time. But we'll wait and see what Congress decides there.
Yep, Gaddy Serralta joining us here. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that here on Fox 5.
So that was U.S. Marshals Director Gaddy Serralta, a Fox 5 exclusive earlier tonight, back live outside of Union Station. We will have much more on this federal show of force coming up tonight at 10 and 11. We will also have much more on the homeless campment clearings that are happening across the city. Sydney Persing will join us live. We also just got a news alert from the Associated Press that says Attorney General Pam Bondi has named the DEA head as DC's emergency police commissioner, granting him powers of police chief amid the takeover. This is brand new. We just learned this. This is an AP news alert just coming in. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi naming DEA head, that's Terry Cole, as DC's emergency police commissioner, granting him powers of police chief amid the takeover. Now, we have been told all along that Police Chief Pamela Smith was still in charge. She was still chief of police. We're not sure if this makes any difference, if this changes anything. Of course, we will have much more of this coming up tonight at 10 and 11. We are expecting a press conference with the National Guard tomorrow at 10 a.m. We will live stream that right here on Fox 5 DC's YouTube page and live on air. We're also on a zip trip tomorrow, of course, on Good Day DC, but tune in for all of the latest. This federal show of force supposed to last 30 days. We're planning to be here every step of the way, all 30 days, as this federal show of force happens. In the meantime, stay tuned to Fox 5 tonight on air, online, and right here on YouTube and Fox Local for all of the latest news as it comes in. Just a reminder, though, we just got in from the AP that Attorney General Pam Bondi has named DEA head as DC's emergency police commissioner, granting him the powers of police chief. We'll have much more on this coming up a little later. Thank you guys for joining us here. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Historic scene in the White House. The president signs the Social Security bill.
It was President Franklin D. Roosevelt who launched the program that aimed to keep retirees out of poverty. And 90 years to the day, President Trump signed a proclamation marking the milestone anniversary.